The content of this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the guidance of your healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your mental or physical health. The views expressed are those of the host and guests and do not replace personalized care from a licensed professional.
Welcome to Mindful Moments with Pedro Morante, a space where a nurse practitioner and educator shares real talk on mental wellness, mindfulness, and navigating life in and out of healthcare. Let's take a moment to breathe, reflect, and grow together.
Very important, guys, to start slow, go steady. No, it's not a fast race. We're all in this together.
There's a lot of anxiety, depression, and PTSD going on. So just need to make sure that our message as a provider is heard by our minority patients. Making sure that we are here for you.
Good day to each and everyone. Welcome to Mindful Moments with Pedro Morante. And as I promised to you, I'll be bringing in highly esteemed guests and also people with voices in terms of our profession, and at the same time, they are also mental health advocate. So for today's episode, we're bringing in a very special guest with the episode title, Bridging Cultures, Breaking Stigma, a Mental Health Conversation with the one and only Dr. Michael Williams. Woohoo!
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing out there? Dr. Morante, thank you for this opportunity to just engage in conversation, meaningful connections. So I'm excited to be here.
It's our pleasure that you're here also and you're sharing this platform with me. We met at the Docs conference in Oakland.
Yes.
And kind of connect over there. We had a meaningful conversation, and I feel like Dr. Michael Williams is turned into a friend, into a colleague, into a family, and now we're doing this. So thank you so much for your precious time in being in this platform.
Thank you. Yes. And, for those who don't know, the Docs conference, DNP's a Color Conference, it's just, as you kind of mentioned, it's kind of like a family reunion for professionals. That's really what it is, where, a lot of conferences stick to the agenda. You're going to get content and you kind of take that into practice. And I feel like DNP's a Color and a few other conferences I would say out there, it's more so you leave with your spirit recharged to do the work that you need to do in your respective community. So I think it's always the right time when you meet certain people. And I think us meeting at the conference was the right time, especially just the energy and the environment that's around now. So.
Yeah, so we can only connect, and also at the same time, we're with our meaningful conversation, we're looking at empowering other people. I think that's our commonality, and at the same time, we're also giving back to our roots and also our culture. So, Dr. Williams, your story is very inspiring. From growing up in New York City to becoming a culturally responsive healthcare leader. Can you take us back to those early moments in your life and share how your Panamanian roots and upbringing shape your views on care, culture, and mental wellness?
Thank you. That's such a good question. So I guess I would be remiss to just kind of share, that journey from the beginning. Professionally, I've been in the nursing profession for 17 years. Of course, started with my bachelor's at the University of Tampa. I spent a few years in med-surg practice, then transitioned to trauma ICU, and obtained my advanced degree, nurse prep FNP, in about 2016. and practice in internal medicine. So, I'm really family, but I tell people I have no experience with kids, and I feel like I'm going to break them. So it was 16 to 100. I could do with the big babies, which are adults, of course. So I did that for a few years, then moved to Texas and stepped into HIV prevention, HIV treatment for about 3 years or so. And now I do mostly home visits, wellness exam, those sort of stuff with another organization, and then teaching at a few universities. So, how does my culture, my upbringing tie into all that? I tell people my leadership style is very much so, I think, authentic and collaborative. It has to be collaborative in anything I do, whether it was in trauma ICU or med surge or as a FNP internal, internal medicine. Um, the work we do, right, is highly dependent on our ability to connect with individuals. Like from a RN inpatient standpoint, you have 12 hours. 12 hours to just make sure that person knows y'all are here to do the work to get them better or to get them to wherever they need to get to, because it's not always about getting better, right? There's a lot of people who have to transition, and there's a lot of work in helping with transitioning that has to be rooted in, what is important to you. And the only way you're able to do that is by stepping outside of yourself and stepping into the world of your people, the people you're serving. So for me, my upbringing, being that I'm first generation American, my mom, dad from Panama, um, I knew what sharing was at an early age, right? And I think a lot of Black and Brown individuals, first generations, we know the concept of if one of us eat, we all eat. If one of us knows something, then we bring it back to our community and we share. So that way everybody kind of knows, or they have their hands on game. And that has always outshined in all parts of life for me. Um, and again, being first generation is you come into a new country, a new place, and what you rely on is community, right? You don't got to know English, especially in New York, in Brooklyn, New York. There's so many different diverse communities there, and you don't have to know English in order to thrive, in order to have business, in order to do the things that you do in life. So um, I take that with me into my profession, and I've always known that I have knowledge that I learned in school, but there's also the human knowledge and the experience of what it means to be in a community that actually drives innovation and care. So, sorry, I kept it kind of long-winded, I feel like. So,
I love it. I love it how you told us about caring, right? That's our core of our profession. And at the same time, we share our deep responsibility for our patients, particularly to deliver the best care for them. And that's something that we are proud of as advanced practice nurses also, that we're always guided by the human caring theory. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then what led you to pursue nursing and eventually become a board certified APRN serving diverse and underserved communities?
so really, I think short answer, what led me into nursing was my cousin. She was actually going to school or going into nursing, and at about I think the age of 16 or so, you kind of get that senioritis, or you kind of like, I don't know if I am gonna go to college. I don't know if I'm gonna, go to health school. So kind of going back, when you're young, you only know five professions: uh, firefighter, lawyer, police officer, doctor, right, or teacher. So in that context, I didn't know how expansive the healthcare right profession is. So I always said, oh, I don't know, I'm gonna be a doctor or something. But it really is like I want to help people. So you just don't know what that means. So when my cousin presented the idea of nursing, and I was kind of like, what is that? And back then it was still it is a female dominant profession, but it has that it had that early stigma of like only women do it per se. So I was like, oh well, what's nursing? And then all she said was, there's a lot of women. And I said, wait, there's a job. They got a lot of hotties in it. So, of course, that was the trick that she kind of got me. So I said, all right, if I stay in New York, depending on what school, university I go to, is like pre-nursing or pre-med and these things. So I settled on University of Tampa because of financial aid, right? Which is a big thing. Me again, first generation college grad. My parents didn't go to college, so financial aid was a big factor, and so that's how I got into nursing school. And I can say, looking back, that was probably hands down the best. Even though it started off as my cousin just saying, nudging me, and saying, "Hey, there's some hot chicks in there, and I think it'll be a good profession for you." When I now looking back, it's probably the best decision that I made, just because nursing is one of those unique disciplines that allows you to craft your voice in a very authentic way. I think it feels like, so we do have, right, racial, discriminatory, all these barriers, but just the makeup of the nursing profession allows you to kind of find your place and make that imprint. So, I started off in inpatient, and community is a big thing that always drives me. And, after a few years, you kind of learn the hospital, while it has tremendous things and does a lot of great things, it's kind of like not a real world. And I say that to say that in almost all your interactions in a hospital, there's like scopes and standards of practice, and there's ways of doing things that makes it very structured and then away from the experience of community. So once I became a nurse practitioner, the hardest thing, or the hardest thing to develop, I think, outside of learning the science and applying all those things, is the human part.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody doesn't come in and tell you, I have high blood pressure, or I have reflux. I took care of individuals from all around the world, all parts of South America, different parts of Africa, right? I had patients from China, and even within that, from rural places that had different dialects. Had people from from Philippines, all over. And people don't come in saying, hey, I have reflux, and this is why. They come in saying, my stomach is hot. And you go, well, what does that mean? My stomach is hot. Or they go and say, I don't know, it's just I got this thing. It's bubbling, bubbling, bubbling. And so that's really community work, because it's like you have to step into the world of others and go, what does this mean? Right? And you have to take the sciences and all this stuff that comes with big words and fancy lettering, and just make it very like meat and potato into the bones, where it's like, oh, your stomach is hot. Is it hot? What makes it hot? And then you play that game of engaging in conversation and personality. So I felt like when I moved into internal medicine, primary care, I was in the real world, and it was like more tangible things that I felt like I could do. And I was not only serving the community, but I was a part of it. Because I also don't want to come in and just say, this is what you do. No. I come in, let me know what y'all doing, and this is what I have to offer to y'all. So,
And I love how you also fuel your passion in terms of nursing, and also how you are grounded by your roots of sharing and also your authentic self. I think your communication also with your patients, you're allowing them to be part of you, is or yourself being part of the family, is a core that you bring into the table, and that's very important when we work with our patients, right? They have
right.
to feel that they are not being told what to do, but they are given options, and they are also given a voice in terms of their treatment plans, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know you are a bilingual English Spanish provider which I think in Los Angeles and California, we really need you. How does language and representation help reduce the fear, the stigma, or hesitation among patients seeking care?
Oh, well, I think you and you might attest to this too. Man, language is it's one of those things that I think language, fashion, style is one of those things that when somebody walks into a space that's not comfortable, right? Because we have to remember, just because we're in the clinic or we're in these healthcare organizations all the time and it's pretty mundane to us, it is not normal for our patients and the people that see us. Even if they've seen us a bunch of times, it's still you stepping into our world and it's a scary place. So me, I'm Afro Latino again, Panamanian, if individuals aren't familiar with that. So um, it's in Central America, so it's a small island, but mighty, very mighty. Uh, so, when people meet me, of course, I think initially they may go, oh, he's Caribbean or Jamaican and stuff, which there's a lot of Caribbean influence in Panama, which was very reflective of our culture. So let's say in the instance of individuals, maybe, coming from Puerto Rico or Ecuador, different places, and they're fully Spanish speaking, right? Even though I am a brown person, a person of color, they're still like, I wonder if they're going to understand me. So, they walk in with that hesitation. And then once you speak Spanish, you see that, like, I call it the professional side where they go, or their eyes like lighten up a little bit and they go, oh, you speak Spanish? And then you get that like just rush. And I'm pretty sure you may see it too when you do it, when you turn it on and it just opens up this world for you. And so I think, not only leveraging language, right? Because there's so many different dialects within like Spanish and stuff like that. I have patients, or I did. I had a lady who was about 70. She was from Colombia, and she said, "I don't like your Spanish. You don't speak Spanish right." And so every visit, she she would correct me on the Spanish word, right? And I'm not offended by that because that lets me know she's engaging with me. That lets me know that she also feels like she has something to offer, which is like when we talk about empowering the people we serve. It sounds silly, right? But that's like that's just a little gem that you have that allows people to make the experience of seeing you more normal, if that makes sense.
I agree with you. I think when the sense of relatability and also at the same time the capability to for the patient to feel that they are home or they feel secure or they feel
Mhm.
the belongingness is a big part, particularly when you told me about the light bulb. It seems like we always see them and the
Yeah.
eyes like, oh my god, who is this provider? And then when you start talking to them in the language that they can relate with, and you guys speak the same language, it's a different ball game, right? I think the sense of trust,
Yeah.
credibility sits there, and they're also able to converse well with you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they
And
feel
it is.
like this is my homie or something like that, right?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. And it enhances the care too. Like it enhances it's like it takes it from you can be a great provider or a great individual, but once you start just kind of tackling all those little bits and nuances of cultural importance, as like language, right? Because language is one of those explicit things. It goes from here to like boom. And like I said, you just see it happen. The demeanor, the energy, the everything about that person kind of changes. And you take maybe somebody who's shy and quiet. You may get, especially in the hospital, right? You get report from others, and they're like, "Oh, they don't really say much. They don't really ask for much." And you go in there, and then they hear you speak their language, and then it's like, "I've needed water. I'm scared. I needed." someone to trust. And those are the little spots I think in what we do that makes oh, I need to be here, right? We need to be here. So
Yes, and it seems like it's fulfilling our purpose too, that it lights the bulb and we're able to at least impact and influence those decisions that they're doing in terms of communication. That's
yeah.
very important too. Thank you, Dr. Michael. This is such a great conversation. And from your clinical experience, what mental health issues most commonly appear in culturally diverse or historically marginalized patients?
Ooh, simple answer to that is depression. Oh my gosh, depression, right? And depression has so many different meanings to so many different cultures, and I think for a lot of Black and Brown cultures, as I said, Afro Latino, but then I also served individuals from Turkey, Sudan, all parts of Asia, and the common thread of the beautiful thing of us is resiliency, and the consequence of that is that we don't acknowledge depression as well as we should. And I could even say that in myself, where we work and we pour into others, we pour into the things that we're doing, and oftentimes it's really depression is looked at as more of a character flaw or weakness, rather than just a part of who we are and a dynamic that we need to help reframe or shape and include into our practices of, hey, we're known to work hard, but guess what? It's okay to also be sad. It's okay to understand that we can't do it all. So I think from primary standpoint, and then in HIV, in HIV prevention, and even in my work now, where I may just go to individuals' houses and just doing more wellness exams. I think depression is the single most common thing I see, and again, it's this range of what that means. Sometimes people just need a little bit of that nudge, a little bit of that weight lifted. And for me, when I speak to individuals, I try to take away the stigma from the word depression, and I say, hey, I think you would benefit from a conversation with an individual that has experience in helping you shape how you are viewing and experiencing life, or this thing in life, right? So I remove, and when you bring up therapy or use these words, I say, no, no, no. None of this is meant to fix you in the sense of, is that keep it moving. It's really meant to just give you more tools so that you can do the things you need to do in life. So if taking care of mom is important, guess what? Therapy addressing this thing is going to make you 100 times better at taking care of mom, or taking care of this and those other things. So once I shape it like that, I feel like I get a better response to individuals. But again, you also got to know, you have to say things multiple times before individuals are gonna actually take that step. So
And you're opening doors also for like baby steps of giving them an option in terms of what they can do, because I think it's very stigmatized that
mhm.
we're talking about mental health, especially for men, right? A lot
Yeah.
of men will be like, no, this masochism still remains for a lot of cultures, and
Hmm.
even for Asian culture, Filipino cultures, and also people of color. I think being depressed is not in the vocabulary
Yeah.
for the past generations. Like, oh my God, oh let's just distract it. It's not there's no such thing as being depressed in this such world, right? So
Hmm.
when we open doors for conversation and the relatability, and also at the same time being authentic, that you want to share to your patients too, that everybody feels that way in such a way
Hmm.
that it's just our coping skills sometimes needed to be more available and enhanced in such a way that we can combat it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if I may add one more thing, for me, one of the things that I've always done, you in school, I don't know about you, you always learn this concept of as a provider or as the primary care, whatever it is, as a provider, you have to maintain this. It's like this professional facade
Mhm.
of like you're not allowed to be vulnerable or you're not allowed to share in yourself, your humanity as you take care of people. But we're in the business of taking care of people. So, for me, the one of the things that I've always been able to leverage is that, listen, on my days when I'm like I just can't do it. And with a lot of things that happen in our current social political climate, and just all since the beginning of right time, there are just certain times when I come in as a provider and I'm just like, I don't have the capacity today. And my patients are experiencing the same thing. So when I come in the room and I hear them and I say, I I feel you. I don't have the capacity today. This is this has affected me. And we sit there and have this moment where it's like, oh, yeah, like I'm just as real as you.
Mhm.
Like I'm going through it too, but you know what? We're gonna go through it together. And then they see, oh, okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's this different element that gets added to it because if you see me out in the outside of this office or these four walls, I am very much so a person and part of the community. I'm dancing, I'm crying, I'm doing all those things. And guess what? I'm just as mad at you, just as mad as you are about lack of food, lack of funding, scarcity and resources. And those things affect me and they make me, feel all kinds of ways. So,
I feel you for that. Like, if they hear that we're also human, we're not just their
mhm.
providers, but we also have our own sets of problems.
Right, right.
But we still show up and we still perform, and that actually inspires them too. That if he can do it, at least I can do it to myself, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Thank you for that. And you specialize in HIV PrEP and internal medicine, which are two areas that are most commonly affected by stigma. How does stigma impact patients' mental wellness, decision making, and also their self worth?
Ooh, yep. This is such a good question. I would say from the primary care standpoint, and the communities that I serve, in that initially, um, the stigma, we were a federally qualified health center. And sometimes the stigma with that is, oh, they only serve the poor or the indigent. And, I spent a lot of time going like, you know what the secret is about an FQHC that makes it better in a lot of places? Is that guess what? Dental is right down the door. If you need to see dermatology, I can get that on the phone and get you right there. We don't got to go through a lot of the nuances of I got to send you somewhere else and all that because, the goal of federally qualified health centers is to provide as much access in the same area or in the immediate space. So that way we're not having disruption in care. Because we know the biggest thing is the more steps a person got to take, the less likely they are to take them. So that was the gem of working at FQHC and coming to Texas and working in HIV prevention at a nonprofit. I would probably say 50% of my 60% were Spanish speaking individuals. Um, when we look at HIV, when we look at number one, the South has probably is I think a little over 50% account for 50% of the new HIV AIDS diagnosis. The South alone. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about stigma and when we talk about a population LGBTQ plus or gender diverse or sexual orientation diverse group, When we look at depression, when we look at unhoused or homelessness, all these things, right, that increase risk for those individuals because number one, you take religion. A lot of Latinos may come from Catholic background and coming out may not be as easy as it is in maybe mainstream America where they're more accepting, right? So people get kicked out their houses or people experience this and that. So how stigma impacts and has shaped us is that really it makes people scared to access care if it is there, and it also limits the amount of care access because you can have a primary care, which I saw, and I had individuals come to me who said, "I saw my primary care for. I wanted to get on PrEP. I wanted to talk about PrEP, and all they did was pray for me." Well, what is, I mean, prayer is a wonderful thing, but prayer is not going to stop
Yeah.
HIV from transmission, right? Or all these other STDs. And knowledge is power. And stigma makes it so that knowledge is the bad guy, I think. And that's the ultimate, I think that's my ultimate message is that stigma makes knowledge looks unapproachable and unattainable. So I hope I answered the question in that sense.
Yeah, I think we already are in a stage also wherein HIV awareness and also treatment options are given to our patients, right?
Mhm.
And I think the stigma is still there, and I think we just need to make sure that the public is informed about proper treatment plan options for them and what
And
available resources they had. So,
and just real shortly, actually here in Austin, because I'm a little outside of Austin. This year, there's actually HIV stigma index, and we actually or they were doing a survey not too long ago, kind of looking at HIV stigma. And the beautiful thing about that, right, it was um, recruitment was for individuals living with HIV to interview individuals living with HIV. And that's such an important piece to mention because when we look at a lot of research and literature, it's people not from the community trying to speak, for the community without having the community's voice involved, if that makes sense, right? Because, I'm a heterosexual cisgender male. So when I advocate or I'm speaking to LGBTQ plus issues and things of that nature, it would behoove me to have the voice of the people in there. I can't speak from my context outside of the allyship that I can provide, in that sense, and the commonalities and our struggles and all these things. But I still have to make sure that my voice is being used um, to highlight those individuals, those needs, rather than my own in that sense. So there's some work being done in the stigma world. I think that's important to know as well.
yes, and according to research too, there's just so much mental health disorders accompanied by having HIV. So
Hmm.
more likely that they have more generalized anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, and at the same time post-traumatic stress disorder. So we really need to make sure that they are well supported, especially once they start getting treatment. Also, a lot of HIV medications can cause like co-occurring mental health side effects disorders.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, what cultural myths or fears do you find yourself addressing most often among Latino and Black communities and people of color?
I would say medical mistrust. Um, I think it's so valid because of history has taught us that the healthcare system and really medicine has not been kind to Black and brown bodies. So when I see a lot of individuals, especially for the first time or first few times, I would say that's the biggest, that's probably the biggest cultural fear, is that the person I'm seeing is only here to make money off of me, right? The person I'm seeing is not really listening to me and has some ulterior motive in their reason for caring for me. Or the person I'm seeing is the only person I can see because I'm not worth um, I'm not worth having the option, or I'm not worth yeah, I guess having the option, and saying that, you know, this is a primary person or primary care provider I see, and if I don't like them, I got to deal with it because who else is going to see me? Um, and so those are a lot of big things that I try to address, because bad care is all around us, right? Incongruent, I should say, not say bad care, incongruent care. So care that's not culturally congruent, or care that's not congruent to the human that needs it, is prevalent. I mean, we all have horror stories. I have personal stories of providers that I've seen that I'm just sitting there like, I'm not connecting with this. I'm not enjoying this experience. And I think for a lot of Latinos, a lot of Black and brown individuals, we kind of just like, they don't speak Spanish. Okay. I'm having the same issue. I come in and they kind of ignore me. I guess that's what I got to deal with, rather than hearing, no, you have options. Your insurance plan, or even if you don't have insurance, guess what? They're not the only place that's providing service that you need. Hey, if transportation is an issue, then we have some options there. But all of that takes work, and it's such a hard thing to navigate that you get beaten down. So I've seen so many individuals come, men especially, Black and brown men, Latino men, come in and they're already beaten down by the system. In HIV prevention, I remember I had one individual who was so guarded. I mean, we come in and I'm talking to him about, hey, how many partners you had, sexual, all these things that are pretty common to us when we talk about getting a good history. And he's just sat there like, why are you asking all these questions? What are you going to do with this information? What is, like, and we're expressive people. So he's yelling and he's doing all of this. And to somebody else, they may be like, he's aggressive, he's this and that. And to me, I'm like, no, I allow him to yell. I allow him to do it because I know he's not targeting that at me. He's targeting at the system that has betrayed him for such a long time. And that happened consistently over and over on a few visits. And then finally, we were talking about something about mental health, because he only came to me for HIV prevention. And one thing he used to do, he would apologize. He said, I'm sorry, I'm not angry at you, right? He would always apologize. And then I told him, I said, don't be mad don't be apologizing for expressing yourself. Like, dog, like, you in this room, you could tell that I'm giving it to you straight. You giving it to me how you feel, right? So this space here, you allowed to yell. I don't have a problem with that. I know you're not yelling at me. And he said, well, it's just that, I've seen mental health providers and I get labeled as aggressive, and I just keep quiet. And you know how much that pains you because you know what that is, right? So I think by the time a lot of individuals, at least from what I've seen, they get to me, that medical mistrust is real. That being burnt, the trauma of seeking care in itself, is very difficult. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I probably had to been navigating in that perspective.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's very eye-opening, and I'm learning so much from this conversation, Dr. Williams. I think some patients do have previous bad experience with their providers. So, a lot of these providers could be coming, or a lot of these patients could be coming from a very bad experience. So, like, a trauma-informed care is very important too, that we can circumnavigate when dealing with these patients. And we kind of like take an active role with that, because as providers, we really have a big role in their experience, right, as a patient. So we really want them to be welcoming, non-judgmental, make sure we listen to them, and make
Hmm.
sure that what you're telling me also is like
Yeah.
a lot of real stories like that, like patients coming in, like it seems like they're mad at you, but it's just they're voicing out their concerns because they had a previous bad experience with their providers, and now they're looking at a provider that can definitely um, they're testing the water as per se that they if this provider can actually give them a genuine, authentic, and not judgmental care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we need to provide in our practices, we need to provide a soundproof room for
Mhm.
patients to just come in and yell. Be like, I would definitely prescribe that. I'd be like, listen, go to that room right there. I want you to yell about everything that you are upset about, and then come back to me. So,
Yeah, I think that will be good because they want to channel, of course. Probably they have nobody to talk to, and those
yeah, yeah.
are suppressed feelings that they had. And if they're able to let it out, then at least they're able to connect well with you. And at the same time, you don't feel like you're the one being targeted to. But it's just how it goes, like the system have broken down, which is basically true. Then, though we really need to feel for our patients that if we are very much connected with them and show more empathy and choose kindness at all times, then they're able to connect with us. Because sometimes it's culture, right? It seems like they're shouting, but they're
Yeah,
not. It's just a part
yeah.
of their culture. It's part of who they are, and it's I think it's being open, and I think this should be embedded also in a lot of like nurse practitioner programs or curriculum in nursing. That I think having
Ooh.
emotional intelligence, be able to communicate and understand this, it should always be have a course on it too.
Yeah, that's thank you for bringing that up. I think nursing academia can certainly do a better job of I call it removing that ego of being a superhero because everywhere you go, nursing's a superhero, nursing's this and that, and we miss the mark when we are thinking our work is above, you know, the actual human that's in front of us.
I agree with you. And now you've said community care is very essential in advancing health. How have you seen community support shift mental health outcomes?
Ooh, I think I think just some of the initiatives that individuals are doing right now, like taking barbershops. You know, there's individuals who I've met through DMPs of color and through this walk where connecting through different groups where there's individuals doing health education in barbershop and what that does. So you're you're equipping those leaders in the community because we forget, we think leadership is a title and all these additional stuff. Then leadership is really about who has influence in different ways and leveraging barbershops like that. Um, food banks. Here, Austin has it's called Austin Echo, but here, I met an individual who's working with housing, right? Improving housing. But within that housing development, they're also thinking about having a clinic within that. So that way it's a part of the community in terms of being leveraged. Myself, I'm on the board of working at a local clinic called Black Men's Health Clinic. And we used to do this thing where it was a men's weekly group of having discussions on just fatherhood, on all these different topics. You go into the clinic and you got Kobe on the wall, you have MLK, you have cars, so it's not just medicine stuff. It's the things that we're experiencing in the community are part of right of the clinic. So I think that's how we leverage that because again, the people in our communities, we could know all this information. We could write papers. All of that's behind the paywall. Guess who really has the information and the influence and leverage? It's going to be our grandmothers. It's going to be the barbershop, the hairdresser, those places that if we're like, hey, grandma, or hey, this is how you take your blood pressure. They take that back and it just filters out. And that's really we get change, at least from my perspective.
Thank you for sharing that. I think we gotta start somewhere, right? And I agree with you. It must be in the barber shop, and that's very innovative way of thinking it too. That we can actually deliver care there and do health
Mhm.
education, because our goal is for them not to be hospitalized, but we have
Right.
to do like preventive care. Gotta start somewhere, and there are leaders in the community that we can collaborate with, which is,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's a bold start of what we can do. Now you're very busy as a provider, but you're also serving as a board member of Black Men's Mental Health Clinic and DNPs of Color. What conversations about mental wellness and stigma do you believe must be amplified today?
Oh, I think, yeah. So being on the board, I think of those two organizations and Black Men's Health Clinic. Um, I think the what needs to be amplified more is that we should be leveraging non-traditional ways to address our mental health needs. Um, so in the instance of Black Men's Health Clinic, I think they're a good example of that, where it's not really a clinic that's just to provide care. They're not, the CEO and stuff. They're not medical individuals. They were individuals of the community who saw a need. And one was actually, he was a healthcare exec, so he did some administration stuff, but they saw a need and wanted to address it in language and in ways that are for the people. So for me, where are the areas that we should be in? Right? I mean, it's football season, Monday Night Football. The bars and the places that we have a large group of individuals and men, where we can integrate this conversation of not only are we talking about stats, but we're talking about, hey, what about your stats as far as where's your brain at, or where's your headspace at? How's work? Are you progressing or moving in the way that you feel? Like, yo, how's the family, right? And it's really just leveraging non-traditional spaces, because that's what's going to get us to the next place. We know all the challenges with the cost of healthcare and the cost of this and that, and how things are changing and becoming less inaccessible. But the thing that doesn't change is that when it's football season, we're going to have football games.
Mhm.
So then that's an opportunity to have ears when it's any of the sports, or when it's festivals, when it comes to food, right? Food, sports, the places that you are going to get people are the places that we should be in there having little messaging. Because again, with mental health, the thing is people don't just hear it once and they move on it. It's they hear it multiple times. So imagine if me and you were at events and just kind of just sharing, just planting those seeds around, and each event they get reminders of that. I think that'd be such an impactful place. So I think for providers, understanding that you are a voice even outside of clinic, and
Mhm.
when you are in your professional role, it should be a hybrid. At least for me, who I am at work is who I am at home. So when I'm in a sneaker store, which is one of my passions,
Yeah.
they know me to talk about health stuff because it all relates to sneakers. You don't have insurance, or you struggling with some stuff. Guess what? The cost of a visit is less than the cost of the newest sneaker out.
Mhm.
So just instead of buying sneakers this release, how about you talk to such and such? And then it's like, oh, word. So who you think I should see? And then that opens the doors for some amazing conversations. I think impact. I don't know. I haven't quantified any of that yet.
Yeah, I think that that is a very interesting avenue that we can also explore on. I think what you're telling me also, like, it's true, right? Our vulnerability, our authentic
Hmm.
self, if they see that beyond our clinic or beyond the four corners of our clinic room, it transpires to for them to be feel more connected with us and feel more themselves, like, okay, this provider is also doing greater things outside of his comfort zone.
right?
And sorry to
Yeah.
chime in on this, but and I think that's why I think the HIV/AIDS space is such a special place because it's one of the few right things that, or I say conditions or disease, right? Conditions that you are forced to be an advocate. You know, with diabetes, with a lot of with cancer, hypertension, a lot of these things, um, there isn't the same stigma or the blame of the individual. You know, when you hear HIV and these things, it's
Mm.
your fault. It's your fault, right? There's this blame. So HIV and AIDS patients are like inherently they become advocates for themselves and for their community, just out of the sheer nature of what the stigma that's carried with that. And to what I said about the football game and stuff like that, I think they do uh, a very good job of that, taking healthcare out of a non-traditional setting because here in Austin, nonprofits have done, HIV PrEP and talk at bathhouses, at, the local clubs, at maybe, you know, um, kind of like sex work in the locations, right? And that's really where you need to be because all of these stigmas and all these things that affect care, the people that come in had a hard time coming in. So that means there's a whole lot of other individuals that we're not seeing that can't come in or are scared to come in or whatever the case may be. So I think the HIV space does a good job of that because they try to get to those places. And I've seen, those things, which has led people into the clinic. So
Yes, I think the support groups and also the awareness that there's resources out there, and I think if patients knows about that one, then they're able to seek help as a baby
mhm.
steps, right? Like it
Yeah,
opened
yeah,
doors for care too, right?
exactly.
Thank you, Dr. Michael. Oh my God. You've been featured in major platforms like Telemundo and the Wall Street Journal. What message about representation or men in nursing do you hope resonates the most?
I think as far as men in nursing, we need more men. I think that is going to be a forever message.
Mhm.
We need more men of value, right? And I think I think when I talk to men about nursing, I tell them this satisfies a lot of and people in general, I should say, but it satisfies a lot of things. Um, Working with your hand, working with your mind, working with your creative spirit, working with your entrepreneurial spirit, um, you know, working in situations or in places where you get to exercise your emotional intelligence or your humanity. If you don't have a lot of emotional intelligence, then with nursing, you should naturally develop some of those things. Of course, it doesn't always happen, but I tell men, to understand the world and have this better perspective. I think nursing is one of those professions that allows the environment for you to grow in your humanity, right? And challenge a lot of those things that we know. The definition of what a man uh, is very limited to actually what we are and what we experience because we don't get the opportunity to engage in those or share in those. And I think nursing provides that. And as far as representation, representation is everything. And when I use the word representation, it just doesn't mean like insert color here or insert language here. Representation really means it all. It could be race, it could be ethnic, it could be food, it could be sneaker. You need a representative of all these things because it's all barriers to break down. I mean, in the sneaker world, if you don't know nothing about healthcare, but you know you love sneakers, and your provider walks in with some sneakers that you know they have to be in that world, then you go, oh, I may be at the right place, right? Same thing with food. Understanding food and like, oh, cassava, right? Cassava and all these different things. Like, oh, we have some connections. And representation. What representation is just a tool to enhance care and healthcare outcomes.
I agree with you, and I think we really need men in nursing, or more men in nursing means more workforce, and that
Hmm.
means that we can support this profession really well.
Hmm.
And representation in nursing is very important, particularly for people of color. That's why we have the DNPs of color.
Yeah,
Woohoo!
yeah, yeah.
And we're call it evolving, and also at the same time we're getting more members. So if they want to
Mhm.
become a member, Dr. Michael, who
Mhm.
can they connect with or collaborate with?
Oh, they can. So for DMPs of Color, of course, www.dmpsofcolor.org. You can also find individuals like me. I'm on the student board right now, student board representative. My professional social media is going to be Soul of an NP. So that's SOLE as an elephant, OF, A as an apple, N as in Nancy, P Soul of an NP, and then that's also my website. My LinkedIn is Michael Williams, but I have to shout out our illustrious founder, Dr. Danielle McCamey. She is all over the place. She's available, so you are welcome to reach out to any one of us or anyone who is familiar with DMPs of color. You know, you can always ask them and go, "Hey, who would be a person to talk to?" And I guarantee you, they'll find myself or other individuals a part of it. And I love for people to share their experience. Like you joined us at this conference, right? So your view and your framework is so important because it's very different than mine. But you lend to the overall collective idea of, you know, our voices are needed, our voices are important, and then they are going to carry us into the future, right, of healthcare and this profession. So you can find this also on LinkedIn, on Instagram, all the social medias, and on our website for sure.
Thank you, Dr. Michael. And that even piece of color is like once you become a member, you turn into a family, and that family grows and grows, and
Hmm.
there's community. So you really don't feel alone, and
Yeah.
that's what I felt when I attended the conference in Oakland. So I'm very very excited for our next conference, which is Michigan, I think, in Detroit for
Hmm.
the 2026, right?
Yes, next year is going to be in Detroit. But, you know, what I also tell people, you don't have to become a paying member to be a part of it. You don't have to be a DMP to be a part of it. A lot of us, including myself, right? Like, um, this is about community. This is about leveraging and really connecting with every and anybody, because in my case, the first generation experience, the first generation college or American experience, does not discriminate against specific sectors. It's across every sector where we are often having to fight. We are often having to do so much in our spaces. So whether you are business, whether you are in education, whether you are in plumbing or vocational type of trades, guess what? We are all a part of that same system. And so my message is always welcoming every and anybody to the DMPs of color space, because guess what? We can use you in one way or another, and you can use us in one way or another. So there's leverage and there's power in community. So above anything else, I would say reach out, join us in spirit. It doesn't have to be financial. It's you sharing our message or just engaging in our conversations and those sort of things. So I always want to stress that part.
Yes, thank you for emphasizing that. And for those who are followers of this podcast, also from different communities, right?
Hmm.
This is a great organization that we can join with. And I agree with Dr. Michael that we're here for you, okay? Always remember that it's important to be engaged and make sure to join our network because it's a safe space for you to join.
Right.
Now, if you could share one message with communities struggling with stigma, fear, or cultural barriers to care, what would you want them to remember, Dr. Michael?
Ooh, keeping it simple because I could talk. Continue to be you. Continue to do the things you are doing, and that will never go away. Um, that's my biggest message, and to also you know love who you are, of course, right? But continue to be who and what you are. Um, Stigma is a reflection of others more than it is of the people who are being stigmatized, right? Or marginalized. It's a misunderstanding of others, and that is not. It is not that you are at a flaw or you are a human, defect. This is more about others and their inability to understand or at least um, open their mind to something or someone that's different than them. So just know there's a space for you. There are people such as myself and a collective of us, this podcast and so many other places that you are who you are, and we will always love that for you. So I think that's my overall message is do you, and being from Brooklyn, my message too is in the words of Notorious B.I.G., spread love. That's the Brooklyn way. So spread love. Yeah.
I love it. I love the positive vibe and energy. And my wife is from New York too, Queens, and she
Oh,
moved here to California with me.
okay.
She loves New York. Yeah, so
Yes, yes,
it,
yes, yes.
it's in your DNA. I think if you're in New York, it's in your DNA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you take it everywhere with you. I
Yeah.
got the Texas because of my wife. So she
Oh,
actually got a job position here
yeah.
first, and then I came down. But yeah, we still gonna rep Brooklyn. We still gonna rep love
Yeah.
and all these things. So
And now, Dr. Michael, you can choose not to answer this question, but I think this is very important right now. There's been a really controversial development as the Department of Education recently updated its definition of professional degree and excluded nursing from the list. And as
hmm
part of the DNPs of color or being an active NP advocate, what was your reaction when you first heard about the news?
so I would say initial reaction is of course surprise, but not surprise, because I think the administration and current policies has kind of followed the trend of this. And I also want to acknowledge that it's not just nursing, right? It's physical therapy, education. There were social work. So all the all really the essential backbones of community from a healthcare standpoint were ones that essentially were excluded. And I think it's just a testament and an opportunity for us all to show what community means. I think it's another piece that continues to wake individuals up to go, wait, what? That's that first response, and then it goes, well, what are we gonna do? So of course, fear is a big thing. So I would say you're allowed to be fearful, but you shouldn't be paralyzed by that because there's work to be done. As you saw, a lot of the nursing groups, including ours, DNPs of color, also Society of Latinx Nurses, all these other groups, all collectively were like, no, No. And we know what it is. It's to limit access, right? To care. It's a limit to add more obstacles. Because again, the more things you can put in somebody's way, the less likely they are to do it. But what they don't realize is that those aren't deterrents to us. Those are motivators, and we're going to continue to kind of push forward.
Right, we're going to continue to lobby and make sure that we are stronger together and we empower each other and uplift each other. Thank you for answering that controversial question. And
yeah,
here we go. I think we went over an hour, but I think an hour is not enough. We could talk. Then have this conversation.
Yeah,
it would be also good if we can do it in person next time. I'm so proud of you, what you're doing to our community. You're creating an impact and influence, Dr. Michael Williams, especially for our vulnerable populations. So consistently do what you're doing, and thank you for being you, and thank you for being authentic. And what I learned from this podcast is that authenticity is really important as a provider, and at the same time partnering with your patients, making them feel heard, feel safe, and spreading the word out there. I think that's very important. Being part of the community and the sense of belonging is really, really important. So there you go again. Catch Dr. Michael Williams, guys. He's available on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and other social platforms. And please join the DNPs of Color. We're here for you, even if you're not a nurse, you're not needed to become a DNP, but we're here to collectively join force together as a family and to create an impact to the society and the community that we serve.
Yes,
Dr. Michael Williams.
No, I just want to say too, while we're on camera, thank you for having this podcast, and thank you for the work you're doing, because I know it's not easy to go out there and put this on and things. So we have to always acknowledge and kind of honor you and the work you're doing, because you don't know where this is going to end up. You don't know what seeds it'll plant, but it's awesome that you decided to cultivate a space, right?
Yes, because I think our voices needs to be heard, right, too?
Yes.
And you're part of this advocacy to uplift our profession, also to create a mental health awareness, especially for the community and population that we serve. Right?
Yes.
And thank you for breaking the stigma too about mental health. Woohoo!
Thanks for listening to Mindful Moments with Pedro Morante. Be sure to follow the podcast so you'll never miss an episode. If you find value in our time together, leave a quick review. It helps more people discover the space we're creating. For updates and more reflections, follow us on social media. Until next time, take care.